From the very moment you are born, your entire survival depends on acquiring this totally abstract, engineered concept.
Oh, absolutely. It is baked into everything.
Right. And we don't even question it. We spend our entire life trying to accumulate it, stressing over it, and using it to measure our success.
Yeah, we really do.
So today, we're asking a question that, frankly, sounds kind of absurd right up until you look really closely at the mechanics of our society. Is money actually a useful concept?
Which is such a massive question.
It is. Or, is it just a behavioral control system masquerading as math?
I love that framing because it really is the ultimate invigable framework. I mean, because you use it every single day, it feels like a fundamental law of physics.
Like gravity or something?
Exactly, like gravity or thermodynamics. You don't question it. But the document we're analyzing today, which is quite literally titled, "Is Money a Useful Concept?" It makes this really compelling case that treating money like a natural law is just a massive systemic misunderstanding.
A completely fabricated reality.
Yeah. The text basically argues that we need to strip away all those assumptions we have and look in the actual machinery of what money does, rather than what it, claims to do.
Well, the mission for this deep dive is to deconstruct that exact machinery. I mean, we all know the standard textbook definitions, right?
Sure, the ones you learn in Econ 101.
Right, that money functions as a medium of exchange, a unit of account, and a store of value. We've all heard that.
Right.
But we are totally bypassing that textbook baseline today. The source text argues that viewing money simply as this, neutral tool for transactions is actually a dangerously incomplete picture.
Dangerously incomplete is a good way to put it.
Yeah, it proposes that money is actually a totalizing worldview and, honestly, an active mechanism of behavioral control.
Well, the problem with that whole neutral tool narrative is that it completely ignores the coercive power inherent in the system.
Right, the coercion.
Because a neutral tool just sits there until you need it, Like a hammer doesn't force you to build a house.
That's a great point. It just waits in the toolbox.
Exactly. But money compels action. The source points out that money is actively used to enforce scarcity in a world that, physically speaking, actually possesses abundant resources.
Oh, wow.
It dictates political priorities. It allows for the accumulation of immense wealth without the production of any equivalent societal value.
Mostly through speculation, right?
Yeah, exactly. Primarily through speculation.
Okay, let's unpack this because I want to push back on that idea of coercion for just a second.
Sure, go for it.
If I go to my job, right, and I offer my skills, and my employer compensates me for my time, that feels like a mutual, voluntary exchange.
It feels that way, yeah.
Right? I provide labor, I receive a token of value in return. Treating that really basic interaction as a behavioral control system feels, I don't know, like a bit of a stretch.
I get why you'd say that.
I mean, it sounds like we're treating money like a simple thermometer. Something that just merely reads the temperature of the economy and tells us what my labor is worth.
Yeah.
And the author is accusing this thermometer of manipulating the weather.
Okay, your thermometer analogy actually perfectly highlights the flaw in that neutral exchange argument, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the text suggests that money is not a thermometer. It is a thermostat.
A thermostat?
Right. It doesn't just measure the climate, it dictates it.
Oh, I see.
Like, you feel your wage labor is a voluntary exchange, but your participation in that system is completely mandatory for your physical survival.
Well, yeah, I have to eat.
Exactly. Because you need those specific tokens to acquire food and shelter, you are compelled to accept the conditions of the system that issues them.
You don't really have a choice to opt out.
You don't. You are forced to prioritize the acquisition of profit or wage tokens over other human values or, personal desires.
When you frame it as a thermostat, all those bizarre contradictions in our societal values suddenly make mechanical sense.
They do, don't they?
Yeah. Like we constantly ask why essential foundational work, things like caring for the elderly, raising children, maintaining local ecosystems, why is all of that either severely underpaid or just completely uncompensated?
And at the same time?
At the exact same time, industries that actively degrade public health or the environment are pulling in record profits.
Right. And if money were just a neutral thermometer measuring true human value, those outcomes would literally be impossible.
Because the thermometer would just read the high value of elder care.
Exactly. It would see the high value of care and the negative value of pollution, and it would allocate resources accordingly.
But it doesn't do that.
No, because the system acts as a thermostat set entirely to maximize profit. It channels human activity into specific and very often destructive patterns.
Just to get the numbers to go up.
Right.
Mhm.
It rewards whatever action accumulates the most tokens, regardless of the real-world utility or the real-world damage.
Okay, so if the system operates as this control mechanism disguised as a neutral tool, its power really relies entirely on maintaining a constant state of restriction, doesn't it?
That is the core of it, yes.
Which brings us right into the source text analysis of engineered scarcity. I mean, we are so conditioned to treat money like it's a physical resource we have to go mine out of the ground.
Like it's coal or iron.
Yeah, like we might genuinely run out of it if we aren't super careful.
Well, we carry this massive historical hangover from the days of commodity money, right?
Like the gold standard.
Exactly, the gold
Yeah.
standard, back when the currency was actually tied to something physically scarce. But we all know that system is long gone.
Oh, for decades now.
Yeah, today, money is almost entirely abstract. It is quite simply digital entries in banking databases.
Just pixels on a screen?
Just pixels.
Mhm.
It can be conjured into existence by central authorities and private banks, basically through the issuance of credit.
And that is the glaring contradiction the text highlights.
Hmm.
I mean, if money is just digital data and it's bound by no physical limits whatsoever, why is the foundational operating principle of our entire global society the idea that there is never enough of it?
What's fascinating here is that the scarcity is no longer a natural property of the system. It is a completely engineered design feature.
Engineered, so it's deliberate.
Highly deliberate. Think about it. If everyone had enough of these tokens to meet their needs, the tokens would lose their power to compel behavior.
Oh, the thermostat stops working.
Exactly. The thermostat breaks. By artificially limiting the availability of these digital entries, the system maintains the pressure required to direct human labor.
Let's trace how that engineered scarcity actually alters human behavior on a daily basis, especially for you listening right now.
It affects every decision.
It really does. When you artificially restrict the primary mechanism for survival, you automatically generate this intense cutthroat competition. You amplify inequality.
We do.
The text notes a really stark divide here. The entities that have the authority to actually create and issue these tokens hold an immense unearned structural advantage.
They essentially write the rules of the game.
Right. They benefit from the system's design.
Meanwhile, the people who merely use the tokens are placed in this permanent state of constraint.
Constant treadmill.
Yeah, and it creates this pervasive underlying anxiety that dictates major life decisions. I mean, people choose careers they dislike, they tolerate poor treatment at work,
They completely forego community involvement.
all simply to secure these artificially scarce data entries. And the tragic irony is that we actually possess the physical resources, the technological capability, and the human labor to provide basic necessities for absolutely everyone.
The food in the houses actually exist.
They exist. The barrier is not a lack of physical resources. It is entirely a lack of the engineered tokens required to mobilize those resources.
Wow. The text suggests we are so trapped in this framework that we have fundamentally confused what we are actually doing.
We really have.
We are mistaking the measurement for the object itself. The source argues that money is not the fundamental concept of human society. Exchange is the fundamental concept.
And that distinction changes the entire analysis.
It totally flips it.
Because human civilization is built on the exchange of goods, services, care, knowledge, and borrowed labor. That complex web of interaction, that is the actual reality of our society.
Right.
Over millennia, we developed money as one specific method to track and facilitate those exchanges. But the tool became so pervasive that we can no longer cognitively separate the two.
We think they're the exact same thing.
We do. We literally equate making an exchange with using money.
Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like we've confused the menu with the meal.
Oh, that's a perfect way to put it.
Yeah. We are obsessing over a shadow, trying to manipulate the shadow, while completely ignoring the physical object that's casting it.
Right.
The real value is the physical house, the medical care, the shared knowledge, the harvested crop. Money is just the shadow those things cast in our current accounting system.
And yet we've built an entire global structure that prioritizes maximizing the shadow.
Even if it means destroying the object, casting it.
Exactly. When you collapse the incredible rich diversity of human interaction into a single metric, which is price error, you severely distort reality.
You lose all the nuance.
You lose everything that makes it human. The text points out how this single lens view degrades our decision-making.
How so?
Well, under a purely monetary framework, An ancient forest only holds value if it is felled and sold as timber.
Right. A standing forest is worth zero on a balance sheet.
Zero. The complex ecological exchanges happening within that forest are completely invisible to the ledger.
Wow.
And it applies to people, too. A person's time and energy are only considered productive if they generate a market return. By separating the concept of exchange from the concept of money, we expose how the monetary lens just warps our perception of value.
But once you sever that mental link, once you accept that exchange is the fundamental human activity and our current version of money is just a highly flawed, artificially scarce tracking system, it opens up this fascinating design space.
It really is a paradigm shift.
Yeah. The force text moves from critiquing the current system to actually exploring how we might design money-free exchange networks. Networks that eliminate artificial scarcity and foster completely different behavioral outcomes.
And it's important to clarify, the alternative systems outlined in the text are not about regressing to, simple barter.
Right, we're not trading chickens for shoes.
No, no. They involve utilizing modern accounting, like digital networking, to record complex exchanges without requiring a centralized, scarce token to act as a middleman.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics. The first model the text explores is mutual credit.
Right. Mutual credit.
To understand how this works, we really have to imagine a system with no money supply at all.
Which is hard for people to picture.
Very hard. There is no pool of currency floating around. There's no central bank issuing it. Instead, the system operates purely as a ledger that just records the relationships between participants.
So in practice, if you repair my roof, we agree on the value of that exchange. The ledger records a positive balance in your account and an equivalent negative balance in my account.
Okay.
The crucial mathematical mechanism here is that the entire system always balances exactly to zero.
But, okay, let me interrupt with the obvious logistical problem here.
Yeah.
If the system is just a digital ledger, tracking pluses and minuses, and there is no physical asset backing it, what stops someone from exploiting it?
Right. The human nature argument.
Yeah. In our current system, we have massive infrastructure dedicated to preventing theft, fraud, and inflation. How does a mutual credit system handle a bad actor who just wants to inflate their account without doing any actual work?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the text addresses this by pointing out the structural elegance of a zero-balance system. In our current model, money acts as a thing. It's a distinct token or an asset that can be hidden, it can be hoarded or stolen. If you steal a digital token, you can just move it to an offshore account.
Right, it's a bearer asset, basically.
Exactly. But in a mutual credit system, a credit does not exist independently of a transaction. You cannot simply add value to your account because every positive entry mathematically requires a corresponding verified negative entry from another participant.
Wait, so theft becomes a mechanical impossibility rather than just a legal violation?
Yes. You can't steal a relationship.
Wow.
You can't hack the system to give yourself 10,000 credits because there is no central pool of funds to draw from. And no network participant is going to validate a 10,000 credit debt on their end for nothing in return.
Well, that is wild. I mean, it completely changes the physics of the economy.
It does. And furthermore, this system basically eliminates the concept of systemic inflation.
Because there's no money supply to inflate.
Exactly the case. Inflation occurs when the central supply of money increases faster than the available goods and services. Since a mutual credit system has no central money supply, credit is only created at the exact moment a real exchange occurs, there is literally nothing to inflate.
That shifts the entire economic imperative. Our current global economy is structurally required to pursue perpetual exponential growth, simply to pay off the interest on the money that was created as debt.
Right. It's a mathematical trap.
But without interest-bearing debt, the pressure for endless growth just evaporates.
It does. Now, the text also explores timebanking, which approaches the valuation of exchange from a completely different philosophical angle.
I love this one.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Instead of market forces dictating the worth of an action, timebanking measures value strictly in units of human time.
Okay, so how does that work?
1 hour of your time equals 1 time credit, regardless of the nature of the task.
See, that is a massive friction point for anyone raised in market economics.
Oh, absolutely. It breaks people's brains a little bit.
It does. We are deeply conditioned to believe that an hour of legal consulting is inherently worth way more than an hour of community gardening.
Right.
But time banking flattens that hierarchy entirely.
Yeah.
It asserts that an hour of a human life is just an hour of a human life.
And by tying value to time rather than market demand, you instantly transform the behavioral incentives of the community.
How so?
Well, in our current system, if your skills aren't highly profitable to a corporation, you are marginalized, you're left
Yeah,
behind.
your unskilled labor.
Exactly, which is a terrible term. But in time banking, everyone inherently possesses the exact same amount of the foundational resource, which is time.
Right, we all get 24 hours a day.
Yes, so it creates this aggressively inclusive system where everyone's contribution is structurally validated.
I can see how that would completely rebuild local communities.
Absolutely.
Now, the third alternative the source examines is direct accounting. This model utilizes advanced digital networking to bypass the need for any store of value token at all.
Right, taking it even further.
Yeah. Instead of converting your labor into a generic token, saving that token, and then later trying to convert it into goods, a direct accounting system simply tracks the flow of resources and labor in real time, just matching needs with production capabilities across a massive network.
And what's crucial is that these three systems, mutual credit, time banking, direct accounting, they all demonstrate a key argument from the text,
Which is,
that the architecture of our exchange system dictates the architecture of our society.
form follows function.
Exactly. A system based on engineered scarcity and interest-bearing debt will mathematically produce competition, wealth concentration, and hierarchical power structures.
It's unavoidable. It's written into the code.
It is unavoidable.
But if you transition to a system where credit is mutual or where value is egalitarian like time banking, the mathematics naturally produce cooperation reciprocity.
Yes. You build community trust simply by operating the machinery of the system.
You know, the analysis presented in this document really forces a fundamental reassessment. I mean, yes, money allowed for massive, anonymous coordination across global distances.
Right.
And that built the modern world. We can't deny that.
No, we can't. It had utility.
But that utility came at the cost of profound distortion. It concentrated power, and it imposed this artificial lens that basically prevents us from seeing the true nature of human exchange.
Well said.
So what does this all mean?
I think it means we have to stop confusing the tool with the truth.
Right. It means money is not fundamental. The exchange of human energy, care, and resources, that is fundamental.
Yes.
Money is merely one piece of software we've been running to organize that exchange. And the source material heavily suggests it is a corrupted, severely outdated version.
And the really exciting part is that the technology now exists to record, verify, and organize really complex exchanges without relying on a centralized, artificially scarce token.
We have the tech right now.
We do, so the question the text leaves us with is not whether society will collapse without money. The question is, what kind of society could we construct if we deliberately chose a different operating system for exchange?
Which leads perfectly to a final, really provocative thought regarding how these concepts apply to the trajectory of your own life, listening right now.
Oh, this is the part that really got me.
Yeah. Consider the modern concept of retirement. Currently, retirement is entirely defined by the accumulation of artificially scarce tokens.
The whole 401k panic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You spend decades frantically hoarding enough of these tokens so that you can afford to survive your final years without having to sell your labor to the market.
Because the market eventually decides you're too old to be useful.
Right. But if we applied the principles of an alternative system, like time banking, where value is based purely on the time you contribute and the relationships you build, rather than market wealth accumulated, the entire concept of retirement just fractures.
The premise of needing to stockpile resources for survival changes completely.
Yeah. If there is no money to hoard, and the community values an hour of mentorship or, caretaking equally to an hour of physical construction, does the hard stop of retirement even exist?
Probably not in the way we think of it.
Or does the human lifespan just transform into a continuous, sustainable balance of contributing what you can and receiving what you need? In that system, society never forces you out of the economy because society never stops valuing your presence, your time, and your wisdom.
Which is beautiful. You are valued for being a participant in the exchange rather than judged by the size of your wallet when you hit 65.
Exactly.
It replaces a lifelong panic for security with a lifelong integration into a community.
It fundamentally rewrites the goal of human labor. So the next time you look at a price tag or you stress over a bank balance or you hear someone ask, is money a useful concept? Remember that the shadow is not the object.
Don't confuse the menu for the meal.
Exactly. We invite you to look closely at the physical realities of the exchanges you make every day and really consider what a system designed for human flourishing rather than behavioral control might actually look like. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.